say truth has to be what? Immutable. Truth cannot come from man because men change like the seasons. And I gave the example of our government. Just look at the laws. They change night and day. The example that I give is voting. And we touched on this last week. But, you know, the heart behind voting is that an individual doesn't have rights. So at a point in time, America did not think women had rights to vote. So they did not give them these rights until what? The early 1900s. Same thing with African Americans. It was 1964, I believe, Voting Rights Act, where black people or minorities could vote.
Wow.
It's crazy. So
all off the philosophy of man.
Yeah.
And his truth.
And his truth, where it's like, because I'm man, I'm in a position of power, I can dictate what's true, as opposed to truth coming from an absolute source, and that source must be immutable. So that source can't be man. Now, we've been given dominion over this earth, so we can exercise, you know, truth, but that truth has to be founded on something concrete, not us. Because like I said, what happens, and again, this is where the controversy stems, and I don't want to get too deep into it. We're in North Carolina, had that bill about the bathrooms. Who's right? Who's wrong? Who's right? Who's wrong? You say such and such should go into the bathroom. I say they shouldn't. How do we determine what's right and what's wrong? Is it majority, or is it something else? And we see where that fallacy leads. You know, so if we can come to the consensus that truth cannot be subjective, it's got to be absolute. What's that absolute standard?
And what I've noticed is that just looking, even through this week, just looking at if truth is subjective, we're able to amend it anytime we want to fit what we desire and what we really believe, which makes it really a heart issue rather than a intellectual issue. So it's like, I can change laws to keep a governor from acting like a governor, right, in North Carolina. I can change the laws to say, you know what, we need to make same-sex marriage a sanction now, rather than keep it as the standard that it is supposed to be, that meets our desires, right? Because we don't want the accountability. So if your truth is subjective, just know you'll change it down the line to fit your own desires, and having man left up to his own desires. Because this is really what it boils down to. Your own desires, wanting to do what you want to do. Wanting to be what you want to be. I think you hit on this the first opening up. I didn't look at it this way. It really is idolatry of yourself. Or your culture, or your culture's perspectives, or what you have been taught that you have now taken to your own conclusions, and therefore they have become your own convictions. But really, man, it's just what you want to do. You want to idolize yourself. And in doing so, we hurt so many others. If truth is subjective, the entire world, we see why the entire world is where it is. Period. Because now there's no standard of God sitting in the world, and that's what the world is. It is a system made to live without God. Paul addressed that.
And before we even get there, we still have to point out what that is, because when we say God, you know, that's such a robust term, but it's like righteousness. That's what I want to attain to, and clearly the righteous one is God. It points to God.
The holy one.
We look at things when it comes to truth, and again, I don't want to get too deep into the bathroom bill, but each person thinks they're doing, there's a book in scripture called Judges, and all throughout Judges there's this statement that's repeated over and over, that they did what was right in their own eyes. And that's what we do. We do what we deem is right in our own eyes, and that's such a dangerous place to be. Now, we are seeking righteousness, but again, we are not that standard of righteousness. So I think what happens, especially in the political realm, those who think, hey, such and such should be in the bathroom, think they're doing the right thing. Those who say such and such shouldn't be in the bathroom think they're doing the right thing. So both people are acting in their own eyes what they deem as righteous, but they're two conflicting views. Who's right and who's wrong?
And here's what you say in your book, which I wrote. I highlighted this. I said, man, it's the doggone truth. You say how you're talking about truth being ethical and moral, but here it is. You said if there is no absolute standard for right and wrong, everything is one's opinion's preference. Lying, stealing, cheating, and killing aren't wrong. They are just one's own preference. But you say, however, it appears that those who do not acknowledge universal, moral, or ethical truths are the primary ones crying out against injustice. So therefore, you can't even handle your own truth because we don't fully think through it.
No.
Because our own truth is only here to satisfy us.